Hi, I'm Susan Taylor Glasgow. I'm a glass artist here in Columbia. My husband and I settled in Columbia about 20 years ago from Iowa, where we met in college. Like many graduates with a BFA in art, I ended up falling back on skills my mother passed on to me to fall back on. I opened up an alteration shop in Columbia called On Pins and Needles. It was on College Avenue, which I owned for 12 years. I came to be a glass artist gradually. I had been doing stained glass as a hobby for years and started to combine glass with other media. I enjoyed the similarities of glass and fabric, its translucency, and the ability to take flat sheets of material and give them form. I also like to build stuff. I began doing shows with mixed media and glass and realized pretty early on that I was going to have to up the ante if my art career was going to be anything more than an expensive hobby. So I started to do some pretty serious research. What did top quality artwork look like? How was it photographed? Who represented those artists? Was glass even an art form? As it turned out, I was lucky. Glass was an art form. Yay! Thanks to the likes of Dale Chihuly and the studio glass movement of the 70s. Okay, now all I needed to do was combine a unique concept with interesting content, wrap it up in the finest craftsmanship, get it expertly photographed, and have the work done on time, and then find a gallery to represent me. No sweat. As daunting as that seemed, it really did seem possible. Because, I had invented a unique approach to glass by doing what I did best, sewing. I used the feminine skills to explore women's issues and the dichotomy of women in the household. By stitching an unyielding material, I made it soft. My work was domesticity gone awry. My first opportunity to test this concept was in 2001 with the Celestial Seasonings annual teacup competition. Artists were encouraged to apply with conceptual drawings for consideration. I drew a lovely sewn glass teacup with a Sleepy Time bear on it, with no idea how I was going to pull this off. It was accepted, and I had 6 months to perfect my technique. I'd be damned if I would accept a defeat. My quilted teacup cozy made it to its debut, and I felt like I was ready to take on the world. The next step was to get the best contemporary glass gallery in the U.S. to represent me. In 2003, I was doing an artist residency outside of New York City, and just an hour away from Heller Gallery. I bummed a ride from my studio mate and went to say hello to Douglas Heller. He was mildly familiar with my work, and I found that he was on the original board that created the residency that I was enjoying at the time. When I got home, I sent him images of my work and thanked him for forming that residency, and he invited me into a group show, then a solo show, and I've now been shown with Heller for about 7 years. He has placed my work in numerous museums, private collections, and public collections. As I grow as an artist, the evolution of my work becomes increasingly important. The difference between art and product is continued growth. I like to work in a series, generally of related pieces. The series seems to run from 2 to 30 pieces, depending on how many issues I have with that particular form, each exploring a different facet of a specific topic. I always close a series by making a piece for myself so that I have physical record of the work. I've also found that museum shows require work to be available 2 years in advance, so I will often send them my collection. And I have found that artists end up with the dregs of their work, so making my self a piece is a reward for closing a series. My most recent series comes from an installation I did at the Pittsburgh Glass Center titled The Communal Nest. The Communal Nest is a 10-foot glass bird's nest that explores the concepts of shelter and home. As a part of the project, women from the Bethlehem Haven Women's Shelter in Pittsburgh came to the Glass Center to make glass twigs for the nest. It was my first interaction with victims of big city violence. These women literally wore the scars. I returned home to my studio and began exploring a body of work that examined choice and lack of choice, and how interactions bind us for the duration. The new work involves 2 household objects. One is beautiful as I could make it, and one is ugly, bound together with glass chain. The bound objects are forced to interact visually, causing the viewer to consider them as one. I feel fortunate that the turns in my life have brought me here to Columbia, and they are twists and turns. And I feel like Columbia is a really strong and supportive place for the arts and becomes better every day. My husband and I live downtown, and I have a studio downtown, so I've really seen the change in the North Village area with Orr Street Studios. This is part of the Bound series. And I have really enjoyed the growth in Orr Street. Seeing PS Gallery move into the area has been really strong. Thank you.